Zynga finally filing its S1 T-minus, 4 hours before everyone leaves for a long weekend. Our Cris Valerio joins us from San Francisco. This is a big deal.
Relieved we got this S1. So let me run through the numbers very quickly for you here. Zynga filing for that $1 billion filing. Some key metrics within the S1. First off, 232 million active users. That is how many people are participating. A small portion of them paying for virtual goods, paying for the games, and that's where Zynga makes its money. Now, it makes its money 2011 March quarter, made $286 million. Take a look at how the revenues of Zynga have played out over the last about 2 years. 2008, $19 million for the year. 2010, closing the year out at $597 million. Of course, the worldwide virtual goods market massively growing. It's expected to be a $20 billion market by 2014. What is Zynga going to do with the money? Clearly, acquisitions have to be on the horizon. Zynga made more than 10 acquisitions, remember, just in the past year. I want to point out some of the risk factors because, of course, this is where Zynga goes through and says these are some things that we're concerned about that may affect our ability to make revenue. The big one, and this is what the analysts that I've been emailing with, and of course this is the big one, and that is how much it depends on Facebook. It says if Facebook develops any kind of competitive offerings, if it chooses to change the relationship in any way, this will affect Zynga. Now, we're going to have some people on later, Bob Rice and 230, we're going to talk about it. He says this is a risky play as a result. Another risk factor, the percentage of players that actually gives them revenue is a very small amount. So there's a small number of games and a small percentage of players that are actually making the revenue for Zynga. That is one risk factor. And the third one that I wanted to point out was the mobile platform strategy. And remember, this is a continuous theme that we have seen across S1s that have crossed in the last few months. Now, Zynga has a ton of investors. Let's quickly take a look at who's making the money. They have so many investors, by the way. Russians with Digital Sky Technologies. We have Silicon Alley and Union Ventures, the Foundry Group in Boulder, Kleiner Perkins. The main three individuals I want to point out is Kleiner Perkins, Bing Gordon with an 11% stake in the company. Going to be a big cash out there. You have the Foundry Group, Boulder, Colorado-based company, Brad Feld, or venture capital firm, I should say, with a 6% stake. And Mark Pincus, the CEO and founder of the company, 16% Class B shares. And that's even with a repurchase agreement. And we learned this in the S1. Pincus actually sold some of his shares for $109 million in March. So he already cashed out of it. Remember, Zynga, the name of the company, named after Mark Pincus's dog, believe it or not, certainly making a lot of money. And Adam, there's so many different angles we could dig into this with, but you pointed it out, and I do want to mention, when you look at the annualized revenue of what they made this year, right, the multiple, very different from what we were seeing, for instance, at Groupon or LinkedIn. So certainly a lot of things that we can dig in.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts, and maybe a more reasonable valuation, perhaps, depending on who you're talking to. And also, we've just
also depends on how much risk you're willing to take, right? How
Yes.
dependent it is upon Facebook for those revenues.